Hello AP Stats students. In section 5.1 we're working on how to do simulations, and today we're going to look at an example of how you can do a simulation using a random number table. And random number tables, remember, kind of just look like a bunch of random numbers there, literally. So we're going to talk about how you use that in order to try and answer this question. If we're going to do a future AP Stats class project, and I'm going to have 3 students in each group, and I will randomly assign students into those groups. The question is, how likely would it be that we'll end up with a group made of 3 girls? And I'm going to use students from both of my classes, and so let's take a look at what kind of students make up these classes. So over here you can see I've made what's called a two-way table. So I'm just creating a table that shows 3rd and 4th periods, how many males and females are in each class. And we can see that 3rd period has 22 total people, a lot more girls in that class than guys. 4th period has 28 people and a few more girls than guys, but we can also see the total. I've got 17 guys total in the class, 33 girls, 50 total students in that class. I'm going to randomly select 3 students out of both classes, so out of these 50, with the question that we're trying to answer, how likely is it we'll get a group of 3 girls? So from our work before, in order to set up a simulation, there's 4 main pieces we got to think of. We got to think of what is the component and how we're going to model the outcomes. And we also have to think of what is the trial and what is the response variable. So I'm going to write out for each of these. The component I always think of as the very simplest thing that is going to get randomly selected. In this case, I know I'm looking for a group of students, but before I can create a group of students, I have to have a single student. So my component is just going to be to select one student. So that's the simplest thing that I can do. How I'm going to do that and ultimately keep track of, did I select randomly a male or a female, that's how we have to specify in model the outcomes how we know when I randomly choose a student, was it male or was it female. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to assign each student a number, from 0, 1 up through 50. I'm picking 50 because I got 50 total students. I'm starting with the number not just 1 but 0, 1 because in order to do this, since I have double digits of numbers, I'm going to select 2 digits at a time from the table. Now, what we have to think about is, okay, great, so you select 2 digits. How do you know what those 2 digits mean? Did you get a guy? Did you get a girl? What is it? So here's where I'm going to assign some numbers. Since I have 33 total girls, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say the numbers 0, 1 up through 33 represent that a female was chosen. And I'm going to say the rest of the numbers from 34 up through 50, that's our last one, represent a male. So when I randomly pick a number and it turns out like 19, well, that means I randomly selected a female. And if I get a number that's 47, well, that means that was a male. Okay. The only thing we have to keep track of also is that we're going to ignore repeats and we're going to ignore numbers over 50 because I only have 50 students, so I can't have person 51. Okay, so imagine I'm doing that. I'm picking a student. I'm picking another random student, picking another random student. The trial represents how do you know when are you done randomly selecting students. Well, the trial in this case is I'm going to select 3 total students because that's what's in a group. We're trying to make a group of 3, so I'm going to pick 3 students. And ultimately then I want to see, did that group of 3 have 3 girls in it, or was it some other group combination that had some guys in it as well? So my response variable is just simply this. The response variable is was the group made of all 3 girls. And we just want to know yes or no. Okay, either it was or it wasn't. Okay. So let's put this kind of into action here. So remember what we already said. I'm going to put this up above here on my random number table, and I'm going to remind myself 0, 1 through 33 were females, 34 through 50 were males, and I'm going to start, this is the same spot that was showing on the screen, and you guys have, this is the same table of random numbers that you guys have in your purple packet. So I'm just going to start right here, and I'm going to do what we just said. I'm going to start selecting 2 digits at a time. I'm going to see what numbers I get, and I'm going to indicate whether it's a male or a female. So if this was on an AP exam, what they would want you to do is somehow indicate, here's my first 2 numbers, that's a 12. 12 is in between 1 and 33, so I'm going to mark that that must have been representing a female student. My next 2 numbers are 0, 3. Well, that's in between 1 and 33, so that's a female. And then my next 2 numbers, 2 and 5, don't worry about that spacing there. That's 25. That's a female also. Now, I just picked 3 students. That group is completed, so that group is done. I'm going to kind of just indicate that this group is over, and I'm going to call that trial number 1. Okay, trial number 1 is done here. Now I'm going to start going again. Here comes my next 2 numbers. 14. Well, that's a female also. My next 2 numbers are another 14. Okay, well, we can't have a repeat, so I'm going to scratch that out. My next 2 numbers are 82. Well, 82 is not a repeat, but it's also above 50, so that doesn't really work in our classroom, so I'm scratching that one out. And my next 2 numbers are 38. 38 is an okay number, and it represents a male. So far this group has a female and a male. Here comes my next pair of numbers. It's a 43. 43 is a male also. That's 3 students. That trial is done. That's trial number 2. And I'm going to keep going with these. I'll do a few more. 83 is a scratch. 70 is a scratch. 00 is a scratch because we started at 01. Here comes 24. That is a female. 98 is a scratch because that's too big. Here comes 07. That's a female. And then 09. 09 is a female. So there's another group of 3. That group is done. That's trial number 3. So far we had the first trial group was made of all females. The second trial group was not. There are some guys in it. The third trial group was. I'm going to just finish off this second row and let's see what we get. So I'll just kind of ignore those numbers there for now. So I'll just come back down here now. Person 67, that's too big. 49, that's a male. 79, too big. 91, that number is too big. 59 is too big. Here's a 01. 01 is a female. 96 is too big. I'm still looking for the third person in this group. 84 is too big. 58 is too big. 86 is too big. We got a lot of numbers that aren't working here. Here's another 86, too big. Here's an 87, too big. That's the thing about randomness. You just never know. Here's a 50. 50 works. 50 is a guy, and that group is now completed. So this is group number 4, and it was a male, female, male. I'm going to do one more trial and see what we get. 51 is too big. 96 is too big. 64 is too big. Here's a 29. That's a female. I'll extend down to the next row. Here's a 75. That's too big. Here's a 93. That's too big. Here's a 39. That's a male. Here's another 39, but that's a repeat. 87 too big. 86 too big. And 15. That's a female. There's another group. So we'll call that group number 5. And I'm just going to stop it there. So what is this showing us? Well, ultimately, how are we going to use this to answer the question? The question was, how likely is it that we would get a group of all 3 girls? So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to show you, here's kind of what our results are. And I'm going to kind of keep a table here. We ultimately had 5 trials, and the first group was made up of 3 females. So I'm just kind of recording what the results were. The first group was 3 females. Was it all female? Well, yes, it was. There's trial number 1. Trial number 2, when I look over here, was female, male, male. So, no, that didn't have all females. Trial number 3 was female, female, female. Okay, here's another one that was all 3 girls. So yes, that was all females. Trial 4 had male, female, male. So no, that's not all females. And trial number 5, what did we end up with? Female, male, female. And so no, that was not all females either. Okay. So that kind of summarizes our results. So what are we supposed to make of this? How do we come back up and answer this original question? How likely is it that we will get a group of all 3 girls? We'll understand this first. If you had started on a different number line, you probably would have gotten different results down here. So the results we got were just kind of particular to this simulation. So when I answer this question, I'm going to say something like this. I'm going to say, according to my simulation, just to say, you know, this wouldn't have happened necessarily with everybody. It kind of happened just when I used that one particular number line. According to my simulation, the probability of getting a group of 3 girls is, and now let's look at it according to our results. Well, it happened once here, and it happened a second time there. So it happened 2 times out of the 5 trials we did. So that's 0.4. So according to this very limited simulation, the probability was 0.4 of getting a group of all 3 girls. So how do we improve that? Well, obviously, according to the law of large numbers we talked about, if you want to have a more accurate estimate of the probability, you better not stop at 5 trials. You want to do a very large number of trials. So, 50 trials is better. 500 is even better. 5,000 would probably be getting you very close to the truth. Okay? All right, that's a quick example of how to do a random number table simulation for section 5.1.